All right, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, who are consistently, I feel like, more and more just in weirder and weirder positions in the offseason. They did move on from Dennis Allen. They now have Kellen Moore as the new head coach. What do you do if you're the New Orleans Saints? Well, some people have speculated, like, do you get rid of Derek Carr? He's under contract for a while, unless you're going to unless you're going to trade him in a way where they're taking on some of the money that you're supposed to pay Carr already. That's part of your guarantees. You're probably not getting rid of him. I think Carr is going to stay. And to be honest, Carr, when healthy, in my opinion, has not been the issue at all for New Orleans. If you look at where they rank in specific positional categories, you see they are the 23rd ranked passing unit. To me, the biggest issue with the Saints is just that Carr hasn't stayed healthy. I said when healthy, he's not the problem, but the issue is he just hasn't been healthy. You need to get 17 games out of Carr with what you're paying him. That's just kind of how that works. 25th receiving, again, part of that is injuries with Olave missing most of the season. It's weird where it's like, part of me wants to sit here and say, well, they've had injuries, but at a certain point, if you have injury-prone players, I'm expecting you to continue to have injuries, so I don't know what to make of all of that. Part of why they have injuries is the 32nd graded pass blocking unit, so that doesn't help for Derek Carr. They're actually pretty good at run blocking and running, but pass blocking hasn't been there at all. It was a mess at times last year. Defense too, 31st in run defense, 23rd in pass rush, and 26th in coverage. Quite frankly, this is a team that, while yes, part of it was injuries, they do need to just start accumulating more talent as well. Some of their upcoming free agents, so nothing crazy. I think you would like to keep Juwan Johnson if you could. The number next to these guys' names is how many millions of dollars they're projected to get in free agency. Chase Young, who they kind of took as a one-year flyer, I think they'll probably let him go. Paulson Adebo, it would not be good to let him walk, right? He's a good player. I would feel bad about that if I'm a Saints fan and he goes. Peyton Turner as well, who was first round pick, hasn't really done what you hoped he would, but maybe you still kind of keep him around. I don't know if it's cheap, but again, they can re-sign some of these guys. Here's the issue that is always the issue with the Saints. If you look at their cap situation, they are currently $47 million over the cap, so they have negative $47 million in cap space. They will have positive cap in 2026, but again, you got to push $50 million of it down the road, and they don't really have contracts that they can cut and get rid of. So again, you can work around this stuff, right? We've seen the Saints do that. The whole salary cap stuff for the Saints gets really complex, and the salary cap in the NFL works very different than it does in other sports, where essentially what you can do is, the way you kick the can down the road is, if you sign a signing bonus, you can then attribute where that cap hit takes place for any of the years of the contract, and you can even use void years to make it past the contract. So for example, if you pay a player $60 million and half of that, $30 million, is the signing bonus, and it's a 3-year deal, well then the $30 million that isn't a signing bonus, you have to have the cap hit for $10 million for each of those years. That has to be how that works. But the signing bonus, you can put it on however you want. You can make it all on the first year. You can make all $30 million on the last year. You can even use void years and make it not on any of those 3 years, but further down the road if you want. That's how the Saints essentially get around this stuff. Of course, then you have to have more cash flow in your organization. You have to be able to pay in signing bonuses instead of pay down the line. So because of that, there still is a limit, and cap space still does matter. And of course, teams only are going to spend so much money, although the Saints will spend more money than your average team would, because that's just how their ownership operates. So I brought up Derek Carr's contract earlier, and I kind of said, listen, he's under contract for a while, you're not getting out of this, he's going to be your quarterback. But let's actually play this out a little bit more. So for Derek Carr, you see his contract details. In 2025, his cap hit's going to be $51 million. The next year, it's going to be $61 million. However, if you wanted to cut him, you would save $1 million this year. So probably he's worth $1 million, right? So you would probably keep him. However, the following year, you would save $32 million in getting rid of him. It feels like, the way this contract is structured, this is the only, this would be his last year. You could, if you wanted to get crazy, keep all the contract on your books except for the $32 million he's owed next year, and trade him somewhere, right? Do the Raiders take him back for a 2-year, $33 million contract, essentially? That's not bad. That's an asset, and a team would give you a draft pick for that. That might not be the worst idea in the world. Again, you still going to have to kick the can down the road. It doesn't help you this year at all, but you could essentially next year more or less get back on track. You wouldn't have a ton of cap space, but you'd be kind of back to normal, and you're getting the draft pick from Carr, and you can kind of tank, have a rebuilding year, and get better. I do this. This is what I think I do. And I like Derek Carr. It's not an anti-Derek Carr take, but he's getting up there. He's 34 years old, and he keeps getting injured. If you can get what the Colts would give you a second-round pick for him, right? I would think. I don't know. The Saints currently, the draft capital they have is interesting. They have an extra third, an extra fourth, and then no fifth-round picks. So they have a little bit of extra draft capital, which is always good. It's not a horrible option. However, if you can't get a trade partner for this, or if you just don't want to pay that much money to a player who isn't going to play on your team, well, then I don't really see the need in cutting him. You might as well keep him for an extra year, because there was that flash in the pan, really good start. Maybe you can get something similar like that for a whole season. Maybe he can stay healthy, and that could change things. I probably keep him if you can't get a trade partner. If you can get a trade partner, then sure, let's do that. And let's not be afraid to eat all the contract, because you're going to do it either way. Whether you trade him, cut him, or, whatever, you're going to have to pay him a good amount of money still. So it might not be the worst idea in the world. Or maybe they just like him and say, hey, we'll keep him for more than just a couple years. That's an option, because it's also weird where his 2027 year, he's only projected to get $17 million. So maybe just restructure that, which is probably what they're going to do. They're probably just going to restructure this. But you want to make sure if you do restructure it, you're not doing it in a way where you're making it harder to get out of next year if he does, play bad or something, because it's just something you have to be concerned about. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts with the Saints and where they're currently at, how they can improve. What do you think about the Saints? Do you agree with me that they should rebuild, or do you think, hey, they started the year good, maybe try and be good this year? I don't know. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.